What happens if you stay in a home that no longer fits your life versus making the move into the larger home your family actually needs? Right now in Colorado Springs, we're seeing more families hit this exact situation, and it's not just growing families anymore. It's blended families, combining households, it's parents moving back in, it's multi-generational living becoming the new normal. And suddenly that 2 or 3 bedroom home with 1 or 2 bathrooms that worked before doesn't work anymore. Now you're trying to figure out, do we stay where it's familiar and manageable, or do we make the move into a home that actually supports how we're living today? Let's break down what really happens in both scenarios, because this is where most people either move forward confidently or stay stuck longer than they should. First, what happens if you stay? Short term, staying feels like the easy choice. No listing your home, no coordinating showings, no moving timeline to figure out. Everything feels stable. But here's what starts happening almost immediately in situations like blended families or multi-generational setups. Space gets tight fast. Bedrooms get reassigned. Living areas become shared in ways that weren't designed for. Privacy starts to disappear. In a lot of cases, you're not just dealing with more people, you're dealing with different lifestyles under one roof, different schedules, different routines, different needs for space. Midterm, that starts turning into daily friction. You're navigating who works where and who sleeps where and how to make the home function for everyone. Simple things like mornings, dinners, or quiet time become harder than they should be. And it's not just inconvenience, it's stress, because the home isn't set up to support the way your family actually lives life now. Long term, this is where most families feel the weight of it. They realize they've outgrown the home, not just physically, but functionally. And they stay longer than they should have, trying to make something work that was never designed for this stage of life. Now, let's flip it. What happens when you decide to move into a larger home that actually fits your situation? Short term, yes, there's more going on. You're preparing your current home, you're coordinating a sale and a purchase, you're thinking through timing. But here's what most families don't expect. When you have a clear plan, especially in a situation like blending households or creating a multi-generational setup, the process becomes a lot more structured than it feels from the outside. And this is usually where people start asking, how would this actually work for us? If that's where your head is at, there's a link in the description where you can get clarity or ask us directly, because when you're combining households or planning for multiple generations, the details matter. Layout, timing, equity, and how to structure the move all matter. Now, midterm after the move, this is where things really start to change. You have enough bedrooms for everyone. You have dedicated space, maybe even that office you've been needing. You have multiple living areas, so people aren't on top of each other anymore. And most importantly, the home supports the way your family actually lives. There's space for privacy, space for together time, space for different routines to coexist. Long term, this is where the decision pays off. You're not constantly trying to solve problems. You're not revisiting the same conversation every few months. You've created an environment that works, not just for today, but for the next stage of your life. Especially for blended or multi-generational families, that stability matters more than anything. Now, here's the reality that doesn't get talked about enough. Waiting doesn't always make this easier. Sometimes it means more people trying to fit into a space that's already maxed out. Sometimes it increases stress in relationships because the home setup isn't working. And sometimes it just delays the move that's already inevitable. But at the same time, moving right now isn't always the right answer either. If you haven't thought through the right layout, if you're not sure how to structure the move financially, or if timing doesn't line up yet, then waiting with a plan can absolutely make sense. The key difference is this: are you waiting intentionally, or are you staying comfortable, while things get harder, because those lead to very different outcomes. At the end of the day, this decision isn't just about getting a bigger house. It's about creating a home that actually supports your family, however that family looks today. And when you step back and look at it that way, the right next step usually becomes a lot clearer. If this was helpful, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss future videos. And check out this next video. It builds on what we just talked about and will help you take the next step.